Here we go again. Another open relationship nightmare. Well, my wife of 19 years came to me and said she wanted an open relationship. Well, I told her I had no interest in participating in an open relationship. But I found out later my wife was using her request for an open relationship to cheat. But I didn't know she was cheating on me. At first, a little backstory. I had no idea what an open relationship was. When my wife first asked for one, she explained it to me as a way to be able to see other people but still remained together as a couple, which seemed like an okay idea. I guess if you were into that type of thing, she indicated she wanted to spice up all her sex life a little, which made me feel like crap. I always tried to satisfy my wife, but it seemed like it was never enough. She even told me I was a borderline vanilla in the bedroom. But even with seeing other people, I still did not want to partake in an open relationship. I didn't want to share my wife with anyone else. Well, I told her that I wasn't doing this open relationship thing. She didn't like it. Then she said she would do it on her own. I yelled at her and said, "You do that, you might as well pack your shit and get out." She looked at me like I was crazy. Then I said, "Let me repeat that you do this open relationship crap with other men. You can pack your shit and leave." After that argument, we slept in separate rooms for the next 4 days. We didn't talk to each other. I couldn't believe it. It felt like she wanted this open relationship so bad. She was willing to throw away 19 years just to screw around with other men. For the next 4 weeks, our relationship took a major downward turn, but I took some precautionary measures because my gut told me that her behavior was borderline sinister. When I say sinister, I mean, she has been cold since I told her I wasn't doing this open relationship bullshit. She used to send me text messages throughout the day telling me how much she loved me. But that has all stopped. There was nothing, no affection. It was like we were strangers. When we both got home from work, I managed 3 clothing stores in my area and she works for a real estate firm. We used to hug each other and ask each other about our work days. Now she goes her way and I go mine. So with that said, I have opened up 2 more bank accounts and quietly changed the beneficiary of my work insurance policy and my private insurance policy to my younger brother. Both of my parents are deceased. Anyway, after 4 weeks of cold treatment and lack of communication, I noticed that my wife seemed to be acting suspiciously. She was getting home late from work more often than normal. She was taking long business trips for her job and didn't even interact with me. Didn't even tell me she was leaving for these business trips. So I started snooping on her iPad, which she usually leaves behind when she travels. She didn't have a password on it, but I didn't find anything on it. Nothing suspicious. Part of me was beginning to think that this sudden hatred towards me was because I didn't want to let her have her way with this open relationship crap while she was going on this particular business trip. She did not send me one text or let me know when she was coming back. 2 days passed and she gets back from her business trip and tells me she wants to separate. I agree and she looks at me and says, "That's all you're going to say?" I said to her, "Why, you want to separate? Fine, let's separate." I then tell her I am not moving out of the house. "You want to separate, you move out." Then she says she already had plans to do so. I was shocked to hear that, but I didn't say anything. I kept my emotions in check even though I was boiling inside. So as the days go by, she is moving things out of the house. Now, keep in mind I don't know where she is moving to. She hasn't given me a forwarding address. Fast forward a week and I make an appointment to go see an attorney to talk about my options during the divorce. On my way out to the lawyer's office, I get a call from my wife and she tells me that she would like to come back to the house to talk. I interrupted and said, "Talk about what she didn't say," but she said she would see me this evening and hung up the phone to me. It was kind of weird. I didn't know what this woman was going through. We live in North Carolina. I was not familiar with the divorce laws here, but my lawyer quickly got me up to speed. The lawyer asked me what was wrong with our marriage. I told him she came out of nowhere with this open relationship nonsense. And when I didn't agree to it, we became strangers in our own home. The lawyer asked me, "Do you think she is cheating?" I replied, "She might be, but I do not know for sure." The lawyer said, "If you plan on divorcing her for infidelity, we need some type of proof that she is cheating on you." It was at that moment I had a feeling my wife was cheating on me, and that's why she wanted to separate, because she wanted to be able to mess around with this open relationship crap and not be accountable for her actions. She could argue, "Hey, we were separated." So after leaving the lawyer's office, I went home and waited for my wife to come over because she said she wanted to talk. Well, she never showed, and I did not reach out to her. Fast forward a week and we are still separated and nothing has progressed. I told a good friend of mine everything that happened. He told me I needed to end the marriage and do it soon. I agreed. She was not the same woman. I married 19 years ago. I told my friend that my lawyer said I needed some proof. She was cheating before or even while we were separated. It could still be ammunition in court. Well, that night while I was at home, I researched some ideas on how to follow her or get some type of proof. She was cheating on me. If she was, I couldn't do the GPS tracker, didn't know where she was, and wouldn't really prove anything. My only option was a private investigator. I called a few of the private investigators, actually settled in on one private investigator who used to be an FBI agent. The next morning, I called. The investigator told him my story. He said he could be here this afternoon. He came to my house that day and explained how his investigation would go down for a fee. Of course, the investigator had me sign a paper so he could begin his investigation. He also said I needed to keep this on the down low until he got concrete proof that my wife was indeed cheating on me. A few weeks later, I get a call from the investigator and he tells me that there's proof she was cheating on me with multiple people and not just one person. This was devastating news for me. She betrayed our 19 years of marriage, all because she wanted an open relationship. We made an appointment for him to come show me the footage he had of my wife cheating. It was heartbreaking to watch. She was basically leaving work to see these other men. Yep, she was sleeping with 6 different men. My private investigator also told me that one of the men she was sleeping with was an old coworker of his before he joined the bureau. They were both police officers. The private investigator also gave me my wife's forwarding address. She was staying with one of her female coworkers, who I later learned her and her husband were into the open relationship, open marriage arrangement. I took all of this information to my attorney. He reviewed it and it was sufficient enough for my attorney to file for divorce on the grounds of infidelity. Even though we were separated. The lawyer also told me that I need to prepare for the judge to split the assets. Even though my wife cheated, the judge may order you to sell the home you live in. I didn't really care because there was no equity in the house. We just bought the house 3 years ago. I would be surprised if there was significant amount of equity in the home. I just wanted out of this marriage because I no longer trusted my wife. She cheated on me with 6 different men and then tried to lie about it by saying we were separated. That was the last straw for me. I went through with the divorce process. It took 9 months from start to finish. The judge granted the divorce and split the assets accordingly. Her lawyer tried to get alimony, but the judge basically laughed on her face and cited the footage from the private investigator. When the house was sold, there was nothing to split, no equity like I figured, and she walked away with only her car, her clothes and some furniture. Me on the other hand, I was able to save my credit, ended up buying myself a new home, and my ex-wife is still living with her female coworker and her husband. 9 months later, fast forward another month, I find out that the couple she was living with kicked her out. It seems she was trying to take her coworker's husband. The moral of my story is, if you think your wife is cheating, then she probably is. Don't ignore it. Take action and start snooping if you have to, but be discreet about it. I have been hearing this term for the last few months. Trust but verify. Luckily for me, I didn't have to pay her any alimony, and the house we owned didn't have much equity in it. Thank you, Tony, for allowing me to share my story. I also want to offer some advice. Men. If your wife or girlfriend is asking for an open relationship out of the blue, that's a red alert. I don't have anything negative to say about this man. Stood his ground. He didn't take any shit. But the sad thing is, he is not the norm. Most men in long-term relationships like this would try to fix it. His wife wanted an open relationship. He said nope. Until next time.